All right, so another couple weeks have passed, so another entire set has been revealed for Magic the Gathering. So let's go through this and do another Will It Catfight. This time it's going to be Spider-Man. If you're not familiar with Catfight, it is a format that I have created and that I've been playing at my LGS and with friends and with people at events and such. And I've been trying to build it up. The way it works is both players start with a 9 lives familiar. You start with 9 life. Your library can only contain 1 mana value non-creatures. So what we were looking for is lands and 1 mana value non-creatures that we can play in the format. So let's see what we got here. So we're looking at Spider-Man. We're looking at the Eternal Spider-Man. I think these are the 2 sets. There's like bonus sheets and stuff, but we don't care about that. We do care about reprints because we don't want to see reprints. So we want new cards, so non-reprints, 1 mana value. And then we want creature, and we want non-creature. 99% sure there's no like weird exception cards in this set, because sometimes you'll get something that's like an enchantment, like a saga on one side, and then it flips over and is a creature. That is legal to play in this format because you are not able to cast the creature side. If something becomes a creature, that is totally acceptable. You simply cannot play a card that is a creature that you can cast or you can play. So like you also can't play Dryad Arbor because that's a creature that you can play. But you can play like Okiba Reckoner Raid because that is not a creature, that is a saga. It is an enchantment that becomes a creature. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's see what we got. It's definitely a lot less cards than we've normally had to deal with in previous sets. So let's see what we got. Bagel and Schmear. We're jumping right into this. I feel my feelings towards this set are kind of like it's whatever. Like I'm kind of excited to play with it on Arena, but then you get to like through the Omen Path version, so I'm not totally sure. But I will say this, not to like spoil it. Spoiler alert. The set is not as impactful to the Catfight format as some previous sets have been, but we still get some interesting things, and this is definitely one of the interesting things. Note there's no color identity in this format, so you can play whatever you want. And you just need to figure out the mana to be able to like cast it or like activate its ability. So Bagel and Schmear, this one's super interesting. You get it where you can put a counter on up to 1 creature. Most likely that'll be the cat. And you get to draw a card. I mean, that's not terrible. This isn't terrible. And then the gain 3 life and draw a card. It is a format with only 9 life. So being able to gain 3 life is not terrible. I'm not saying this card's great, but this card it's playable. If you're playing a deck that specifically cares about artifacts, which a lot of decks do, this is incredibly, this is playable. I don't want to say incredibly playable. This is a playable card. So, playable card. Then we have this. This is an unplayable card. Whenever a creature you control with mana value 5 or greater enters, you may attach this equipment to it. That can never happen. It literally can't happen in this format. So the top line of text is irrelevant. Equip creature gets +4/+4. I mean, that's cool. But it equips for 5. So there's so many better equipments that you can run. The equipment spot is actually a very highly sought after slot in your deck. There are so many great equipments. You have Shadow Spear, you have Luxior, you have Bone Splitter, you have the things that give your creature flying like Kite Sail. There's a lot of things that you want to run in the one spot, and this really isn't it. Dragonfire Blade is another really big staple of the format. So this ain't it, but it's it's an artifact, but I would deem this as kind of unplayable in the format. It's not like unplayable, but not really very playable. Heroes Hangout. This one's interesting. Exit the top 2 cards of your library. Choose one of them until the end of next turn. You may play that card. I mean, it's card draw. Like, people are super high on this. It's card draw. I kind of like that. 1 or 2 target creatures you control get +1/+1 first strike until end of turn. That's not bad. That's not bad. My big hang up on this card is that it's a sorcery. If this was an instant, this card would be amazing. And not just in Catfight, in like all formats, this would be an amazing card. The fact that this is a sorcery, I understand that Faithless Looting exists, and a lot of people compare this to Faithless Looting, but you can't turn to reanimate a Grizzlebrand off of this, and you can off of a Faithless Looting. I think it's okay. I think it's decent. I'm not sure what decks in Catfight would honestly you'd want to play this. You get the benefit of Patrol Knight if you have 2 creatures, and obviously then you're having to work to get a second creature. If it was an instant, I'd say it's very playable. As a sorcery, I think it's kind of mediocre, to be totally honest, just in general. This one, Hide on the Ceiling. This is super interesting. It's super interesting in this format because a lot of the other creatures that do wind up hitting the battlefield are tokens, because that's the easiest way to get other creatures on the battlefield is like Pongify your own cat, or Legion's Landing, or you make a zombie token, like things like that. This gets rid of them. There are not a lot of board wipes in this format. There's not a lot of like mass removal in the format. This kind of lets you do that. This one I kind of really like. I'm not sure if you'd be main decking this, but it definitely feels like a sideboard card for sure in a lot of decks. But this one is super interesting because you can get rid of all the tokens. One important thing to note about the format is that you cannot exile your own cat. You also cannot exile your opponent's cat. If you attempt to exile it, it simply does not exile. So imagine if it was indestructible. So if you attempted to destroy it, it simply would not destroy. Because that messes with the counters, and it makes it where like you can take your opponent's cat from 9 to 0, like from 8 counters to 0 counters immediately, and that does not make the format work anymore. So this is good to like hit other things. You can also hit artifacts. There's lots of people that are playing Portable Hole to like be holding things back, so you can use this to like get that back. You could also use this to hit your own Portable Hole, and then you can get it to flicker back in and get something else. I don't know. This card is interesting. I really like this card. I like this card in the format. I don't think it's like going to be main decked in a lot of decks, but I think this is a super interesting card in the format, and I like it. All right. I don't want to use the word staple. We're looking at Peter Parker's camera here. But this card is good. This card is really good. This was the Prof's pick for best card for Commander. And it's probably the best. It's not probably. It 100% is the best card for Catfight from this set as well. It's just, it does everything you want it to do. This is a format that is very much like, there's two things that you do. Instance, and then you're really doing like activated and triggered abilities. Specifically like activated abilities. Like Strip Mine is legal. The fact that you can, for 3, like, you play this and then like for the extra 2, for 2 extra mana, you can Strip Mine 2 lands. You're getting really good return on investment. It's kind of ridiculous. It's really good. There's so many things that just like happen where it's like so many activated abilities that you're gonna want to copy. So many like I'm drawing a blank even with just like trying to think of like the best things to do with this, because there's just so many great things to do with it. But this card seems really, really good. The strip mine is the most obvious. Is that like you go to strip mine someone and then you strip mine and you hit like a second thing. But obviously, anything else that is going to wind up like pumping your creature, you know what I mean? Like anything else that's gonna give you like landfall. There's the equipment that when landfall happens, so you could double up that, so you get like additional counters. There's all kinds of like lands with activated abilities like Dranith Ruin, so you can put an extra 4 counters on this. You can create it so like your creature can fight an additional time. Gaining life. There's the Sylvok Life Staff. When this creature dies, you gain 3 life. So now you could be gaining 6 life. Like, this card seems pretty phenomenal. Like, and lots of decks care about artifacts. And using artifacts and using them to your advantage is a huge strategy. There's things like Relic's Roar, where you can turn an artifact into a creature to then be able to attack. So lots of decks are already like by default running artifacts, and this is just another really good example of something that would be really strong to do. And that's pretty great if you get to then turn this into a 4/3 and swing with it. This card's phenomenal. I really like it. Okay, Pumpkin Bombardment. I want to show you something real fast. We'll come back to this in a second. Here, let's just open up another Scryfall. Because one of the things that that has happened in this format is this card got printed, and this card seems pretty innocuous. Like you don't think much about it, where it's just like, okay, equip creature gets +2/+2 and hexproof from monocolored. Equip 4, costs 1 less, so it costs you 3 to equip it to the cat. Hexproof from monocolored in a format where everything is 1 mana value is really good, because there was literally no cards that could then interact with your cat. There was one, and it was Scar, but it didn't get around this because your cat was already getting the +2/+2. There was literally no answer to this once it was on the cat to deal with the cat. You could obviously deal with the Dragonfire Blade, but you couldn't deal with the cat directly. Now we have answers. Now we have answers to be able to deal with it. It's not good. By no means should you be playing this in a lot of decks, but it is decent. It's also 3 damage to target creature. Pongify and Rapid Hybridization are huge parts of this format because you hit your own cat and then you get a 3/3. So things that can deal 3 damage instead of 2 damage are really good. Another example of where if this was an instant, I think it would be incredibly playable. As a sorcery, it's kind of mediocre, but the fact that it deals 3 damage, if you're facing off against some type of blue deck and you know they're playing Dragonfire Blade, this is pretty good because you know you can hit their 2 creature tokens. You know you can deal with the cat with the Dragonfire Blade on it. There's something interesting going on here. Rent is Due. This card is interesting in the format. It's interesting because one of the ways to play is to also be very, just to like buy time, to be a very control deck where you're trying to slow down the game. So your goal is basically to make it so your opponent can't attack. They're not going to be able to attack you with their cat at all, and you're kind of like blockade everything that they tried to do. This card gives you a draw outlet. So like you already have a cat that you can use to be the 1 creature. So you just need something else that is a creature, and it's not that hard to create a creature token or to find other ways to be able to do this. You are removing your own blocker, so it's kind of iffy. Like in a format that is pretty aggressive, like that is a dangerous move to be like, I'm going to tap down my 2 blockers and then wind up taking a bunch of, possibly open myself up to take a bunch of damage. But I don't know. It's interesting, and I've seen some people who play the format who are really super high on this card in the format. So I think there's something to be seen here. I think this card has some potential, and that's cool. I like it. Interesting. Next up, Rhino's Rampage. This is the same thing as the Pumpkin card because this is another example of a card that gets around Dragonfire Blade, which I think this is cool. That we had this card that was introduced, and it kind of became a staple of the format, or something like very good to do. And now we're starting to get answers to it. This might be the better answer, to be totally honest, because as I said, artifacts are a huge part of the format. So this one is pretty great. So you use this to pump your cat, and then you deal with their cat, and then you also get rid of one of their artifacts. Wish it was an instant, but even as a sorcery, this isn't too bad. If you have a bunch of other things to be pumping your cat to get its toughness high enough, where you can use this to have your cat survive the fight. So your cat survives the fight, then you deal with one of their artifacts, then you're able to attack. This seems like a really good play. I really like this card. This is probably one of the like top 2 or 3 cards from the set into the format. If it was an instant, it would be amazing, but it's not. So it is what it is. Okay, Secret Identity. This is probably the second best card from the set. It might be the best. I'm not totally sure. I'll have to see and play to find out. But things like relics were already a huge part of the format. And this is just like, you lose the 1 power, but you get flying and you get vigilance. You get evasion. But on the other side, you get the hexproof. This is really good. This feels a bit like Wild Shape, to be totally honest. And Wild Shape is super good in green. That's kind of what this is. You can use it for defense. You can use it for offense. Every blue deck, I think, plays this. And that's kind of the difference between like this and Peter Parker's Camera. I think most decks are going to want to play Peter Parker's Camera. Every blue deck is going to play this. There's really no reason not to. You can use this to protect your cats. You can use this to like start to close out the game. Both of these are amazing. And the vigilance is so good. So you get evasion, and then you get the ability to like stand back and block. This is really good. In a format also, there's no direct damage. This is kind of like, it's kind of like a lightning bolt. Like it's pretty much a guaranteed like 3 damage. And then the fact that it can play defense also is great. This before this card got revealed, before Peter Parker's Camera, this was my 100% pick for like best card from the set. But it's between these 2 for sure. Let's see what else we got though. Spider Suit. It's competing with this. It's competing with Dragonfire Blade, and Dragonfire Blade is just better because you get a lot of that protection. But it's cute if you have something that like being a spider helps with, then like awesome. But there's not much really going on here. It's competing with too many other artifacts and equipments that are just like going to do a much better job than it. Ironically, this next card, if it is a spider who gains 2 life, like there's your synergy is this and this. But it's mediocre. The whip. It's not terrible. The like +2/+2 and flying. We have other things that do very similar things to this. If you're in some sort of like white aggressive deck, this isn't too bad. This isn't too bad at all. You're just never really going to gain that 2 life, but it's a pump spell with evasion. It's not bad. I can see this getting played. In the right kind of deck, I could see this getting played. But it's by no means like anything groundbreaking or anything like that. So the only card that's like super unplayable in my mind is Doc Ock's Tentacles. Everything else is playable. Secret Identity and Peter Parker's Camera are your 2 best cards, 100%. Bagel and Schmear. Is it okay? It's in there. Rhinos Rampage is probably 3. So I'd go 1, 2, one of these, 3. And then it's either Bagel and Schmear or Hide on the Ceiling. Is one of these 2, I think, are kind of your next ones. But I think that's good. We got a handful of cards. Let's check lands real fast. I'm 99% sure there weren't any lands, but let's give it a good check because it's always worth it to do. Marvel Spider-Man, mana value, irrelevant. Let's look at lands. There were not a lot of lands in the set in general, and I don't remember seeing anything that was like incredibly interesting or like groundbreaking. There are no like man lands or anything like that. Okay. Target legislation against menace. Useless. I don't like this card, to be totally honest. I think in like speaking outside of Catfight, speaking in general, I think this card is super overrated. I am not a big fan of this card. This card's got some big Thran Portal vibes to me, and that card was not very good. This is like Starting Town like crushes this card in every way, shape, and form. I don't think that card is very good. We do get the like cycle of these that surveil, but I don't think that's particularly interesting. I don't think there's anything particularly interesting going on here. This is probably the most interesting land, but it's going to cost you 2 life, and it comes into play tapped. Like, cool, you can play from your graveyard, so I guess if you're playing like Faithless Looting, or some of those other abilities to let you discard, there's something interesting there, but with it only being 9 life, that 2 life hurts pretty bad. So I'm not a huge fan of this land in this format. In other formats, probably pretty good. Okay. You can't return your cat to your hand, so if you try to activate this, I mean, you couldn't. Because you couldn't pay the costs, so the cat's stuck there. I'm sitting here thinking about like how to like, because we're dealing with rules that aren't like the normal rules of Magic, because there are a couple of weird like carve-outs and exceptions. This card's super interesting, because I think you couldn't do it because you couldn't return the tapped creature. I'll have to double check like the rules. How Indestructible is always like my like way to like check to see how things would work otherwise, because it should work the same way. If this was like to destroy a creature, put this card, could you destroy an indestructible creature to pay the cost? I'm actually not sure the answer to that. I need to do a little smidge bit of research on this one and then get back to you guys. I'll put out a shorter thing about like how this card specifically works in this format. Because if you can attempt to return a tapped creature and it simply doesn't get returned, and then this winds up coming into play, this is actually kind of a halfway decent ramp spell. Obviously you return other creatures, but like other creatures are usually in the form of tokens, so you would not want to do that. But you can do some interesting things where, like, let's say you play a Portable Hole and then you Relic's Roar. So you Relic's Roar your Portable Hole, so now it's a creature, you attack with it, and then you use this while it's still a creature during that turn to bring this back and put it on. This card might be a little more playable even if you can't return the cat. This card might have some, like, weird, interesting synergies because it gets you 3 mana. So if you're specifically in, like, Bant, this card's pretty good. And every deck is inevitably in blue because of Mental Misstep. I hadn't really thought about this card until I like really read it and really started making this video to do this. This card might be more interesting in the format than I realized. I need to ponder that one. It's another Terramorphic Expanse. So this is the most interesting land by far. I need to sit and think about this one, and I need to do some rule checking to see if you can attempt to return the cat, fail to return the cat, and then do this. I think you could, actually. Like, the more I think about it, and the more I'm, like, trying to rack my brain for examples, I think you could attempt to do it, because you would attempt to pay the cost. The card would prevent you from achieving this. In the eyes of the game, you would have done it. You would have attempted to return it. So you would have met the cost. Let me double check on that one, but this card's interesting. This one might be more interesting than I had originally figured as much. But yeah, that's kind of it. So there we go. We went through the entire set of all the cards that were legal. We definitely got some ones that are super great. Peter Parker's camera is amazing. Secret Identity is amazing. And that land is super interesting. But yeah, this one does not make as big of a splash as like some of the other sets have done. Like Bloomborough was huge because we got all those talents. Bloomborough was huge for this format. And so was Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy brought some like very interesting cards, like with Starting Town and Sleep Magic and a bunch of other stuff. But every set we get new cards. That's one of the things I like about this format, is that we keep getting new cards. We keep introducing new cards, and it's a little bit of a trickle. You get like 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 cards per set. And they're interesting enough and they're dynamic enough that they wind up changing the format slightly, but nothing comes in and absolutely warps or breaks the format. And I think that's great. It lets you keep building upon the ideas and strategies that you already kind of have in mind. And sometimes they do open up like a little bit more of a strategy. Like we got vehicles, and we got that synthesizer lab thing. So we get the spaceship that we can work with, which works really good with artifacts. So every set we wind up getting some new things that make it interesting. And that's one of my favorite things about this format, is that like it's continually evolving, but it's never approaching the point of where it is broken. So if you made it to the point of this video, I assume you probably play the format or you're super interested. If you are, we have a Discord, so check out the Discord. The link is going to be in the description. And if you do play the format, let me know if you've tried any of these cards, or if you plan on adding any of these cards to any of your decks. I am also going to be in MagicCon Atlanta coming up. I posted a video about an event that I'm going to run where if you can bring your own deck and you can beat me in a best of 3 match, I will give you a free play booster. You got to join the Discord, and you have to express interest in the event to be able to participate, because I got to know how many people are wanting to do it and how much prize and like how much time I need to allot. But sometime Friday, I'll meet up with people in the main play area, and we will go and we will do that. But you can also just bring decks, or you can also just look for me if you're interested in trying the format. I will have a bunch of decks with me, so I will be able to play with people at MagicCon Atlanta, whether you have a deck or not. So I'm trying to build this format and trying to do what I can, and that's my way to try to like bring it to people, is to just have like 10 or 15 or 20 decks on me at all times, and then I can always just like sit down, catch a game. Games are fast, they're like 5-10 minutes, and then see if people are interested in it. Almost everyone I play this format with absolutely loves it and is interested in it, so it's just a matter of getting it to more people, and that is my goal. So hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you play the format, let me know if you're interested, and let me know your thoughts. All right, have a good night. Bye.